Quick information for this entry. Black Rock Shooter was an OVA teaser pilot for a gaming project, but then was released as an anime and it sucked. Then the game was released with its original story and it was better than the anime. In the game, biomechanical aliens take over the planet, leaving only a few hundred of survivors. These aliens modify their bodies to blend in, but still leaving some mechanical parts on their bodies. Did you get that? And with that aside, I present to you Luo. But hey, I hear you say, that's a bow. That, my friend, is his arm cannon with a bow-shaped barrel, because he apparently was a fan of Robin Hood movies. What, can't aliens have hobbies too? Shut the fuck up. Now, Luo here is the guard of an abandoned nature spot that has been abandoned since the beginning of the war. He picked the spot after all of humanity has been wiped out just to stay in desolation. Here used to be the place where all the machinery that the aliens have now has been modified. He prefers to stay in his territory rather than following orders from the general, like the other batshit insane aliens here. Luo is actually the most level-headed of them all. This shows in his fight. Luo uses his bow cannon, swinging it to shoot energy balls that go through armor. He can shoot bow his way to you and back kick you karate style. He can create sandstorms that will blind your lock-on system, forcing you to use multi-hitting attacks and basic attack in him, which will do little to nothing to him while he can still use his special attacks on you. He can also dash in a curve, shooting some lasers that are hard to block, and his ultimate skill fires energy spheres that home in on you from the right and left, forcing you to zigzag them, which positions you for him to get a free shot on you. Add that with an intense final clash and the fight is done. God, it is fucking hard to handle, but it's fun. Now, the difference from him and the other aliens are that they are fucking insane and ball-busting hard to handle. Luo just keeps it entertaining. Like, he's the only one that fights you clean and fair, and that's what makes him interesting and cool-headed as an Arm Cannoneer in this list. He's an assassin that works from far away. He has this bow that is actually an arm cannon, and he doesn't use it like a bow, he just swings it. And his abilities actually show that he can combo with them. He uses fair tactics to fight you in a one-on-one fight. He's just protecting his territory, which you are invading. And trust me, you will regret it if you don't fight your ways truly. His abilities show how much of a strategist he can be, and trust me, you don't want to be under his blast in the intense, difficult stage. Are you fuck you, level, fuck you! Now, after seeing a lot of Arm Cannon Man, let them be outshined by the First Lady of Gaming. Now, Samus has a little bit of background that is very dark. Samus at a young age saw her own parents being murdered by the space pirate dragon Ridley. How can a dragon be a space pirate? I have no fucking idea. But after being traumatized by this scene, Samus was then sent and adopted and trained by the Chosos, who injected her with their DNA and trained her to show them their common ways of survival. Later on, she joined what you would call a militarized academy, which were pretty impressed by her abilities since the moment they saw her. But she wasn't very happy with the results at the end of the day. She was very young and her ideals were very different to the militarized academy, so she left in order to become a bounty hunter on her own and help the intergalactic federations in order to get rid of the Metroid menace that took over many planets. Over and over again, she helped with this menace and any enemy that shook the peace in the galaxy, including the corrupted Federation if it appeared. Now, because of the Choso DNA and training, Samus has a lot of abilities with her suit or without her suit, as you can see in Smash Brothers. But The meta is that pretty much Samus can grow into a ball thanks to this DNA and sneak up on hard to reach places. She can also use her armor cannon to shoot a variety of energy-based beams and the elemental beams that work well over the giants that she faces, including the ice beams and the missiles she has for the Metroids. She also holds missiles and energy with and homing shots, and I have no more on the list. That is pretty much all renditions of each other. Let's not forget her screw. She can even combine devastating attacks against bosses in the air or use them in conjunction in order to burst out their weak spots. And in Smash Bros, she is able to show her skills with that cannon of hers. Shooting a charge shot that decimates shields, missiles that home on opponents, and she can also use multiple renditions of explosions as air and smash attacks. And the incredible final smash that has a power over 9,000! Yeah, she can make many fear facing a Samus on the edge. Even though a lot of people complain about her personality in Other M, or lack of it, let's remember that there's always been little to no personality from her in other video games. Just some reactions and that's it. But undoubtedly, she still shows to be the most capable and fearsome woman in gaming. Somewhat reliable and persistent to the very end. At least we have something of a female that can show that she's badass in gaming. Except for her losing all upgrades at the beginning of every mission. Just give this bitch a purse. And now, the guy that inspired this countdown, Mega Man. Just look at Mega Man. He can shoot his energy pellets, charge the Mega Buster for incredible hits, and make his enemies fear his childlike figure. And use the Buster. Okay, hold on a minute. That's just it. He can use the Buster for some stolen abilities, but that's it. They're not that great. I mean, Mega Man needs some kind of upgrade. Just imagine if we take some of the stuff from his body and just embedded it with some metallic color and just take the Mega Buster and upgrade. Oh wait. Yeah, now here is the better version of the Mega Man line X. X was designed by Dr. Light to be the greatest and most powerful robot. Due to being designed so powerful at such an early time, Dr. Light kept X in some sort of dormant state until it was time for him to be awakened again and help humanity and robots alike. From X's design came forth the new age of robots, the Reploids. Reploids were robots who had free choice and will, with incredible emotional and thinking capacity that resemble humans. With this new age coming to a stable state, X was finally awoken and brought forth to the Reploid force when they were impressed by his abilities being that young of a robot. He later on joined what was called the Maverick Hunters, a group that hunted down robots that turned into the humans or presented any sign of threat to the community, and X along with his companion mentor Zero brought down as many Mavericks as they could with only their busters and what they could held in their hands. X was expected as the greatest and most powerful robot, and he met those expectations. With Zero's training in basic combat and other methods, X grew into a Maverick Hunter like no one other. But enough talk, let's check X's abilities. He can obviously shoot energy bullets like Mega Man, but he can also shoot charged versions of it in many forms, including tornado spirals, supercharged forms, elemental charge beams, etc. And I haven't even mentioned the abilities he gets from Street Fighter from now and then. He can also use the abilities he steals directly from his X-Buster and even supercharge them to use his own version of any abilities he takes in many combinations to exploit his enemies' weaknesses. And there is a ton of weapons that he steals, so there is no point in naming them all. If you can remember them all, make a list, but fuck it! Not only that, but the fact that X has such perseverance against the Mavericks that always threaten the world, and even with fear in his digital heart, he holds his Buster against the forces of Sigma and evil against any Reploids and humans alike. Even Zero, his mentor, acknowledges X as being the greatest robot that he ever met. Even Sigma envies X for being the first and the key to the future of all robots. He is indeed the best maverick hunter of them all, fearsome sometimes but charismatic most of the time. Dr. Light froze X because he thought that he was too powerful for the world to see him, and wanted to wait for the world to be ready. Well, apparently the world will never be ready for the incredible power that X holds inside. And even with all of his power, he doesn't use it for his own advantage. He tries to help others helplessly and sacrifice himself over and over. Kind of a selfless feeling that has sex, and that is admirable for just a robot. But the question remains, if he is the greatest robot ever created, the most powerful maverick hunter and armed cannoneer, who could possibly beat X if he is not number one? Like I said before, the arm cannon is a very precise weapon, and well, in video games it is difficult to show its realistic side. This was until I saw Raven. Now, he may seem pretty bland at first sight, but allow me to talk about him. Raven is a nobleman that joined the aristocrats in order to keep peace in his land during the crisis on El, while he was still being the leader of the anarchist group of the Crow Mercenaries, a group fighting for the corrupted governments in all of El. After many years of political vigilantism, Raven finally is exposed by his right-hand man and best friend. After this, he is sent to prison for betraying the law.
You betrayed the law!
After a few nights, Raven escapes one night before his execution with the help of his friends and his dear beloved fiancée. But his light of hope would be extinguished since the only thing they could find would be an ambush waiting for them. Raven could do nothing but watch helplessly as his friends and fiancée were being brutally murdered in front of him. He was later sold as a slave to the Nazis, a biomechanical race that has been in El since the dawn of man, but lately has been corrupted by mysterious reasons. The Nazis took Raven and experimented on him for months. Unconscious, Raven was presented against the El-Peeps as the first human hybrid Nazi, and he was the first final boss of the game until he was later on added as a playable character. He was using his Nazi arm as a weapon, and almost half of his upper body and his brain turned into a machine. But in the middle of the fight, he turned into rage, waking up and turning against the Nazis. In his ravaging rage, he swore revenge on the Nazis to fix his wrongdoings from the past. He later on joins the El-Peeps and fights with his Nazi arm and saber in hand for justice. His skills are pretty bland at first sight. He can make small explosions in combat with his arm, stun his enemies with an electric shock from his arm, and cut them with his claws. As for special abilities, he can create spinning fireballs, punch them while dashing in super armor, use his dash and blade together to drill through enemies, create small earthquakes, and shoot one mega fire shot or multiple armor piercing shots. From here, Raven could evolve into two classes and even change his story. Now, the Blade Master is a class that involves sword fighting mastery, with Raven being redeemed of his darkness and holding his blade to keep his humanity, added with a huge speed buff and added damage effects. The only attacks he actually uses with his arm cannon are combinations with his blades. These are just a black hole for multiple flashes while they are suppressed, a tackle that cuts the wind and pushes the opponent back, and an absorbing blood push from his arm to add to his blade and double damage until they are open with hemorrhage. Now, the Reckless Fist, on the other hand, is a bestial warrior that has let himself be consumed by his inner monsters, and unleash his destructive powers with alchemy and brute force. This class gets some damage buffs along with some defensive buffs. He can create spike balls out of metal, summon spikes that will stab or explode his opponents, charge a falcon punch that pierces armor, summon a metal nuke or a nuke himself, and even slash the air and explode the hydrogen slash. Yeah, they are both pretty much physical. I got pretty disappointed by not finding someone that has at least some mid-range attacks in all of the Elstar universe with an arm cannon like Raven. That was until the Weapon Taker was released. The weapon taker adds bullets to his arm cannon, which gives him mid-range attacks. With Raven giving up on life because of his past, he becomes more of a dark warrior of flames that has nothing left to lose. This adds to his overheat system, a system that increases the damage on his attacks but consumes his health slowly little by little, giving him only decent attack buffs and defense buffs, while the other classes get attack and speed buffs immensely. He can now make a small fire fist in the air, shoot bullets that makes him jump into the lockdown target. He can make multiple explosions to his opponent's face and burn them. He can dash behind the enemy and shoot bullets to keep them at bay while moonwalking. His special abilities include a beam shot in the air that can create a fissure that pushes enemies back, a debuffing blast, a spinning fire blade attack, a flaming sword slash, a shot of multiple missiles that can either pass through many enemies for minimal damage, or hit the first enemy in front and pierce its defenses. And his ultimate skill makes multiple volcanic earthquakes around him, and a Gatling fire barrage that hits everything in front of him. He has everything you would want from an Arm Cannoneer, right? Well, even though he was very strong enough to rival the max subclasses, he was still in the mid stage. After 1 year of wait, they gave him his max subclass, the Veteran Commander. The Veteran Commander is the epiphany of arm cannons, period. He gains a speed buff, finally. His overheat now stacks, he can shoot bullets in the air rapidly, leave grenades while shadow dashing, and gets a flamethrower. Special skill include buff on a past skill. His spinning blade can now be used in the air and burn enemies. The debuffing blast now leaves a trail of smoke that damages opponents who walk into it. He can shoot grenades and leave a trail of flames, open wounds with his bleeding gunblade. He can now buff all super skills and ultimate by pressing them again, adding overheat effect, summon a rain of fire, or shoot a fire crow and go through the floor in flames, and multiple super falcon punches. And his hyper skill, oh god, his hyper skill. And with all of this power, you think he will be a damage fighter. Well, no. The Veteran Commander is actually a tank, with incredible defensive buffs and a passive that makes his damage increase the lower health he has, so consuming your health is okay now. Well, now he has two selectable passives. You can either consume little to no health while overheating, or keep the same overheat to less damage to you, but deal double the damage to your opponent. He's also the best combo maker in the game, having a lot of combinations and the only one that can have a loop of combos in the air. Raven is now a beast in this form, and guess what? This isn't his maximum force. In the comics it is actually said that he is holding his 100% to liberate it against the Knesset King, which will probably cost him his life, just so he can end the crisis in hell. The passion that Raven has for his deeds is incredible. He's obviously a very nasty-mannered person, the oldest in the group, and also very aggressive, but he's a true gentleman and a fighter that never backs down. He is an unrelenting force, fearful, and yet so calm all the time. Just like a little flame that is ready to ignite, but at the same time it looks like a little candle. So much power in that little candle that is calm and soothing. And remember about the realistic art of the arm cannons? Well, wouldn't you seeing it hurt you too? I mean, it's just an extremity that is boiling hot in your arm. I would be hurt too. And that is why he is my #1 Arm Cannonier. The Veteran Commander Raven, a realistic form of an arm cannon, a fearsome anti-hero of L, and the flaming combatant we can all admire. I am Mephiel, and if you excuse me, I've got to check on Elsor after I check on what's going on in Mighty Number 9. Enjoy, Mighty Mon.